Yeah, welcome to the Making of Me podcast. Today's guest is Samantha Harris, a workforce retention and confidence strategy for women in the trade. Samantha spent 25 years raising in a male-dominated industry where she had to learn how to speak up, stand her ground, and trust herself even when she was overlooked. That life experience now shaped the work she does, helping women still lead and be heard in a career that they work hard to earn. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show, Samantha.
It is great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Samantha, what did stepping into a male-dominated industry feel like earlier in your career?
Early on in my career, when I first walked in, it was a little shaky, to be honest. I had went to training and I had learned these skills, and it was still, I was confident in what I knew how to do, but walking into an environment where I'm the only woman or the first woman, that itself was like, what's happening? So it was a little different from being surrounded with women every day. And that's what causes that doubt, because now you're trying to live up to what you believe or think other people want.
Amazing. So as those years went on, when did you first realize that being overlooked was beginning a pattern rather than a one-off experience?
When I was I did paving, construction, things like that. And even though I was good at what I did and I could lay concrete better than most men, to tell you the truth, mix it
Yeah.
and all the things, and I was still passed over for jobs that would generate more money. And I was asked to, it's funny that you asked that question, because I was asked to then, hey, Samantha, instead of going to do the physical part of the job, they started sending me for runs to go pick up asphalt and things like that, because then they had opportunities to build different jobs that would generate the money. So that's when I actually started paying attention, seeing where I thought I was part of a team, part of these men that I worked with every day, that we all had a great relationship. It wasn't that, not at all. It was me showing up, being there, and being passed over and looked over until it was absolutely necessary.
Wow. So as you build confidence, what internal shift help you to start trusting yourself, even when the external validation was missing?
And what started me on my journey is the fact that I had gotten so sad and so beaten up, and it felt like I was always armored up and twisting myself into a pretzel and transforming into what the rest of the world wanted me to be inside the work environment, that I was losing part of me. I had started gaining weight. I was angry, but not saying I was angry. So I started doing the work. I got a coach. I started speaking up. I started having the conversations out loud instead of keeping it to myself. I had a direct report, because now I've grown, I've elevated, and I had a direct report say to me that I really wasn't a supervisor. Even though I gave him his assignments, I signed off on his work, I did all the things. So it was always insult to injury when these things happened, and it was taking its toll on me physically, mentally, emotionally.
I'm just wondering what that experience would have been like, being overlooked every now and then. It must have been very, very terrible. So looking back, what situation forced you to stand your ground the most, and what did that teach you about leadership?
Okay, so that situation itself, I remember that day distinctly. I was at the job and I was doing my thing and walking around doing inspections, and I saw said employee. He was hanging out somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. And okay, get back to work. I didn't say scold, as some people would say. I was like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Get back to work. And that's when he informed me that I was not a real boss and he didn't have to listen to me. And at that moment, I thought that my head was going to spin around.
Yeah.
And I was clenching my fist, and just, it was unbelievable to me that he had the audacity to say something like this. So, as if I was a general or something, I threw my fingers on my shoulder and I was like, I am the boss, get back to work. And unbeknownst to me, he went to my chief and he was talking to that chief at the time, and he was telling him how mean I was to him, how insulting I was, and I was hurting his feelings by the way I spoke. So they had a meeting at this round table and they brought me in, and I'm thinking that my chief is going to be team Samantha, like, hey. He informed me that I didn't have to be so animated, that I didn't have to speak the way I spoke to this gentleman, even though this gentleman wasn't where he was supposed, was never reprimanded for not being on his job site, was never reprimanded for speaking to me in such a manner, but I was the one being called out as a woman, as a black woman, the only woman. At that moment, I felt like I could just slide underneath the table, and I wish someone could have just covered me and protected me at that time, because I felt so alone and sad. To be honest, I can't even remember going back to my office, sitting down. It was as I was wandering through a maze or something like that as I think back on it. And when I got in my office, it was a sign that a colleague of mine had given me: behind every successful woman is herself. And it was as if it was neon lights just blinking at me. And in that moment, I knew I had to do something different. And that was no longer looking for other people to stand with me and me to stand by myself and to stand up for myself, to believe in myself, and to trust my experience, even if no one else agreed with me. So that started my journey to doing what I needed to build me. So even though I knew the work, even though I knew what I was doing and I knew everything that I said was correct, I allowed what this supervisor chief said to me to disrupt my confidence in that moment. So I stopped allowing that, and I started not worrying about everyone else and started just believing in me.
That was a lot. Is the fact that the situation has to force you to start thinking it. So as you became more established, how did that your perspective change on staying in the industry instead of leaving it?
Why should I? Why should I leave? Who am I? You know what I mean? Like, the money is good.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that I owed anyone anything anymore. So that's what was a game changer for me. I get to stay. I get to show up for me. It wasn't for me to prove myself or to make someone else believe that I was capable and able and that I brought value to a job. I already knew I brought it. I already knew for a fact that I deserved to be there. What was their responsibility was them, and what was my responsibility was for me. So when I stopped showing up, giving all of the things that I had to offer to show them that I belong there, I knew I belonged there. I knew it wasn't about anyone else but me, my pocketbook, and everything that I was obtaining that would help me live the life that I chose to live.
Amazing. So transitioning into the work you now do, what made you realize that other women were facing the same silent struggle?
Well, it's so funny you ask that. As I've grown in the company, more women are coming from the outside, the trade world. I believe just in general, women understanding the monies that can be made and then wanting to help and support their families, and why not? But I saw them come in confident, being capable and able, and their confidence being disrupted. It was disrupted by the men who was questioning their capabilities, their identity, their sexuality, their abilities. Even though they have grown and gone on to do bigger things, it was still being tested day in and day out. It was like little cuts in your fingers all day long, every day you walked in there. And I saw the women, and they were coming to me, and I would talk to them. And as I talked to them and motivated them and supported them, it was a difference in their attitude. It was a difference in how they showed up. So I knew that this work was necessary. You know, a lot of people worry about women in the C-suites sitting in the corner offices and what they deal with. But when you're working on job sites, when you're working on jobs that were traditionally held by men that work outside, welders, plumbers, structural mechanics, things in that nature, you do not subscribe to the same rules as someone sitting in the office. So they needed the same support. So I knew that what I did and what I was giving was necessary for them to stay, because in any type of with structural maintenance, any type of male dominated industries, women leave within the first 3 to 5 years. And in that 3 to 5 years, companies end up having to replace them, where women lose so much money, where they're going taking lesser paying jobs, or they're in search of something that's going to make them happy. Instead of making themselves happy, they're looking for companies to do it. So, me helping them see that it's about them and them loving themselves and believing in them, that was a game changer.
Wow, making them believing in themselves. Your coaching actually helped them to realize what load they are actually carrying, being that, yeah, they could basically be in the trade and at one point they mistrust themselves owing to the male counterpart they have, not believing in themselves again until you make them realize being that you have gone through similar struggle, and that's really amazing. So building on that, how does uh, allyship help women protect their voice and value at work?
Well, when you self ally and know, again, not looking for someone, because that's what we're taught as women. Automatically, we need someone to stand in front of us, be that person. When you self ally, you stand up for yourself first. And then that ushers in a different type of human that you allow and to be in your life, to be the person speaking for you in rooms that you aren't in. You get to define you in a different way, what teaches people how to treat you. You're no longer just accepting when you self ally first. And that is going to show up different even on a job site, because now you're standing in your word, you're standing on your ethics, you're standing on everything and your morals that you have been taught. You're no longer looking for traditions to define you. You're defining yourself. You're no longer looking for the norms of what society has told you to be. Most women have been defined by what everyone has told them year after year a good woman should be. And that spills into these jobs. So learning how to stand for you, figuring out who you are outside of your roles and responsibility, meaning who everyone else defines you to be since you were a child, allows you to stand up and be there for yourself.
Yeah, wow, this is really amazing. And the change of thoughts owing to how society have actually conditioned a whole lot of women not to believe in themselves. I think having this particular voice really speak volumes, being that yes, just make them believe themselves even the more and get to trust themselves, and yeah, being able to kind of put their energy into the work they do other than shrinking them or into their male counterparts. Yeah, this is really lovely. So finally, for a woman listening right now who feels overlooked and tired, what is one small but powerful step she can take today?
I want a woman. I know how it is. I get it. I understand it. I've been there. It's for you to just take a breath and recognize what you're thinking is not wrong, and to allow yourself to feel all the feels about it, and to trust yourself. Trust your own voice. That's going to be a game changer when we start trusting what we know to be a fact and not what the world has told us to be. You get to show up. So take a moment, take a breath, listen to your thoughts, and believe that you know what's right for you. That's going to change the game.
Wow. Take out time, listen to yourself, and know what is right for you. Yeah, amazing. So for those who actually want to reach out to you for your coaching section or to connect with you to learn more about you, how can they reach out to you, and where is the best platform to do this?
Oh, the best way to reach me is on LinkedIn, and it's Samantha Kaye Harris, and or on Instagram it's Samantha K. K is spelled out again, Kaye official. That's how they can reach me, or www.theskhsolutions.com. You can reach me there on my website also.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for the load of insight. And definitely, the link is going to be on the show notes for my audience to easily reach out to you. Yeah, thank you so much, Samantha. Your story reminds us that confidence is built, not granted, and that staying, speaking up, and standing firm it can be an art of leadership. If this conversation resonates with you, remember, you don't have to shrink and you don't have to leave to lead. Thank you once again for being on the show. It's really a pleasure having you.
Thank you.